A new moon in Libra, two cazimis, one of them on the new moon, a Pakalvatan Quetzalcoatl prophecy day, the asteroid Atlantis conjuncting the Galactic Centre, and a blue eagle wave spell. All that and more coming up in this latest edition of the Quantum Compass. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. I am, of course, David.
I'm Bella. Hi and welcome back.
So, as usual, we will be taking a pulse on all things cosmic and earthly, creating some various coordination points and compass points for us to perhaps use to navigate this very interesting looking couple of weeks that we have in front of us. And we're recording this as the sun has just emitted the biggest X-class solar flare earthbound this year, and that's on the back of two from a couple of days ago. So, we're expecting a lot of uplift, which is kind of ironic because we're about to ascend with the Blue Eagle. All of that we'll share more on later, right, Bella?
Right, so we'll start the show by weaving what happened in the previous wave spell, which is the one we're completing with the white wind. And we knew that this wave spell was about reconnecting with spirit, about communication, about opening ourselves to this process of embodying spirit and communicating the messages from our higher selves. So now we're switching now into the blue eagle wave spell, and that's what we're going to talk about here and the sidereal astrology connected to this wave spell.
Right, and we'll be sharing a little bit more on the very special journey that we've been guided to kind of host, hold, direct people in over this wave spell, and then another one for the wave spell after. All of which is very much based on intuitions that have come to us, an unfolding conclusion to this cycle because we're now coming into the last two wave spells of this Tzolkin. And just to remind everybody here at QPW, the intention we set for this Tzolkin was to arrive in New Earth, which has already happened, but now we're still in the process of witnessing the as within become the so without, which is essential. How does our external world match the internal world? If we haven't done any internal work, that's a little bit of a tricky problem that needs to be overcome, all of which can be resolved, certainly at the necessary level during this wave spell, right, Bella?
Right. And during this wave spell, we knew that there would be work to be done with the grid. So the grid is now active. The artificial matrix is falling apart. The collapse is already happening. And now with the Blue Eagle wave spell, we're going to talk about it. We're going to reconnect to the natural grid of the planet, the planetary mind. So that is part of the objective of all of these next wave spell.
Right, so for any of you who have already joined up to the Eagle Ascent or are intending to, this particular episode of the Quantum Compass, whilst being just a usual episode for our YouTube platform and followers, is an essential component in this journey. And really and truly, the Quantum Compass is an essential component in every journey that me and Bella take with every single way spell of the Tzolkin. And we do these preview shows as much for ourselves, really, as to share with all of you so that we can get ourselves set for the incoming energies, because every 13 days, as we've shared before, you get the opportunity to write a new chapter in your unfolding story. And if you want the story to be a good one, it makes sense to make sure that the script is coherent and that it's unfolding the way that you'd like it to, rather than in some ad hoc manner that perhaps is somebody else's dream that you're working towards. So, the other aspect of this, which Bella's going to share more of, in relation to the eagle, is the very interesting conversation we've been having over the last few weeks in our tribe about original mind and egoic matrix mind. And the eagle is really offering us this incredible opportunity for the next 13 days to really remember our original divine mind and to perhaps observe where the lower mind, the logos mind, the matrix mind is perhaps still giving out some faulty signals that we need to have a little look at and then recalibrate. And of course, as usual, Bella is going to take us through the various layers of the 1320 weave to start putting in the layers of coordinate points that we ourselves intend to work with over these next 2 weeks, and perhaps you'd like to as well.
Yes, and this show, if you're new to the show, we try to align to the number 13. 13 constellations, 13 sign constellation astrology, the 1320 frequency, which is the frequency of the sacred round or the way of measuring time in the way of a spiral. Time is not linear, time is a spiral, and it requires us to go into that frequency to be able to experience it differently and to free our minds from the artificial construct. We also work with 13 stellar nations or constellations and fixed stars that have the galactic history. And we've been working with the 13 moons. So all of the 13 is being realigned because part of this process of ascension is activating the 13 strands of DNA within ourselves. That's the path of evolution.
Right, a lot of this we're going to be covering in a special transmission for the participants in the Eagle Ascent, because really what Bella's just shared is the key as we've now come to understand on this journey of exploration and investigation that we've been taking ourselves and with many of you who follow us here on YouTube, and of course our beloved brothers and sisters in our QPW tribe. And that's one of the things that we love about all of you who are part of the oversoul matrix, really, that we've created ourselves to put ideas in, to get feedback, to keep assimilating, to keep being intuitive, and to keep unfolding the story as it calls us forwards. And we're now at a really exciting point. We don't know what's going to happen during these 13 days, but with everything that's already in the ethers and inbound, it feels very much like this is the moment that the eagle wants to take off and ascend to its eagle's perch, the fifth dimension, the non-dualistic space where we can see and review everything that is going on down here for ourselves in duality, but also with Mother Earth, with the collective grid, and all of the other harmonics that are currently in play.
I'll take the opportunity here to say thank you to everybody that came to our Texas gathering. It was amazing to see so many of you and to see each other in person, to hug each other, and to create that bonding frequency that we then take to New Earth. So thank you to everybody that made it.
Right. Also working with sacred numbers, a big amount of love and respect to all of you there. And also, again, just reminding ourselves how important it is to bring the 5D, the non-physical, down into the physical. And of course, for everyone there that attended that weekend, there were some beautiful things that have unfolded. And a lot of what we're sharing for this Eagle immersion actually came out of that experience. So blessings and gratitude to you one and all.
Yep.
All righty, let's jump into the presentation. Yeah.
Right, let's go to the beginning of the presentation. So this is going to be a very interesting wave spell. It's called the Blue Magnetic Eagle wave spell, and it's the wave spell number 19, meaning we're only 2 wave spells away from finishing or completing this important Tzolkin, which we started together as a whole tribe. Everybody around the world went to a specific site at the same time for each location so that we could activate that dragon energy that we connected around the planet. And now we're coming back together to do the wrap up of this Tzolkin to complete the 260-day cycle. As part of today, I wanted to bring back something that we started doing at that time, at the beginning of the Tzolkin, which was the reconnection of this planetary holon. So every single day, we have an opportunity to bring some of that energy. Can you give me the highlighter? So the blue eagle is the one that is highlighted here, and we can see it in the area of Canada, Greenland. So every single day, this is another layer that you can add to your practice, which is on that day, day number 1 of the wave spell, we send energy and love to this area of the planet. The second day, you can do it with the yellow warrior. The third day, then we can go to Africa and this area with the red earth. So this is yet another exercise that whether you're part of the tribe or not, you can still do if you have this visual of where the energy is every single day. So just a reminder, we've been doing this with the tribe. We have put our galactic signatures. We have a map of whereabout in the world we are and how we can activate this noospheric energy, this layer of connecting to the planet and the planetary mind.
Right, really beautiful exercise, which maybe with the end of this cycle, we might fire up again. We have a QPW tribal glyph map where we marked out all of our tribe members on that to see if we could get the full 260. We didn't get to that because that's quite a big task, but we got over halfway. And that whole exercise has enabled many spin-off exercises with small calls with people with the same kin or the same tone. And that was really has been a year-long exercise for all of us to get to know ourselves better through the glyphs and tones that we carry, but also to see in Lakesh, I am another you, to see which bits of us are in other people and which bits make other people different from us, all of which is a way of forming unity consciousness, which this planet Holon is really pointing towards.
Yes. So let's move on then. After doing this exercise, this is something that you can do every day. You can put a little rock or a little crystal and just move through each one of the glyphs day by day. And in that way, you're putting your consciousness on the planetary holon. So this is one of the activities that you can do. But apart from that, the whole year is infused with the energy of the resonance seed, which means that we are activating ourselves as cosmic seeds and aligning with the cosmos. That is exactly what is happening. We've seen it happening through the process with the amount of comets, Three-Eye Atlas, Swan, Lemon, all of them have been giving us new codes, and we are meant to be paying attention to what to align with at every single point as it has been going through our skies. It has already gone through Libra, Scorpio, Libra, is completing the journey in Virgo, and then it's going to move into Leo as it gets closest to Earth as well. So this is part of the attunement and alignment of what we try to do here is, are we paying attention to the sky? Are we paying attention inside of us? And are we following the 1320 frequency, which is the frequency that allows us to flow with the natural flow of time?
Right, so what Bella's really doing here is layering in the first or biggest layer that we tend to work with. There are bigger cycles again, but for the purposes of day-to-day living as a human, we don't tend to work with a cycle much bigger than the 13 moons, which is a 364-day cycle, which always starts at the beginning, the 26th of July and runs through to the 24th of July. And this is the process we're in at the moment with the tribe of working through these 13 28-day cycles. And this one, here we are in the 13 moon cycle of the resonant seed. So these are, in fact, first two layers working with the 13 moons, and then Bella's going to introduce the next one. So this is the first layers of the various weaves that we're working with. And if we're working with 13 moons over the course of a year with the 13 structure, the 1 to the 13, we're giving ourselves the opportunity to do a much bigger manifestation process with the luxury of working with one tone for 28 days, whereas in the wave spell, you work with it for one day. So these are the ways that we are learning through direct experience with the calendar, with the 1320, as a process of bringing heaven to earth and manifesting heaven on earth.
Yes, and part of what we've done, this is the fourth round of the Tzolkin that we ran with this Quantum Compass show. Every single turn, every single spin helps us do our inner work, but also ascend in the ladder of consciousness as well and multidimensionality. So because we've been doing that, we've been adding layers and layers. Now most of the tribe can think in all of these different layers and see them within themselves and how they can actually use them. So with this moon, we're moving from the self-existent moon to the overtone moon, which is moon number 5, and is all to do with radiance. This moon of form, which was number 4, finishes on November 14, which is the first day of the wave spell. So the wave spell links the two moons, moon number 4 and moon number 5. Moon number 5 is the moon of radiance, and it has a main question for us to meditate or reflect upon for the whole 28 days, from November 15 to December the 12th. The question is, what is my core purpose? This is the main question that we want to reflect on during the whole wave spell for sure, because it's all to do with vision as well. This beautiful totem of the peacock has many teachings and is so important in so many different cultures. But more than anything, it wants us to show our beauty. It's about self-expression, to bring back that confidence and pride, the pride that is healthy because you know that you're doing your work, you know that you're doing your alignment, you know you're thinking about the highest good for all, and not from an ego mind. This symbolism connected to the peacock is also about renewal and rebirth, divinity and protection, vision and intuition, which is also a little bit of the owl and the eagle.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
has both. There is a lot of bird energy during this period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
The peacock is also connected to royalty and nobility. And when you think about that, if humans, what we are as an experiment for the cosmos is a lineage, a DNA that has been created to integrate the many different strands of DNA from all around the galaxy and I think even beyond. So it's not about believing that you're a king or a queen, but it's about knowing the relevance of who we are as humanity, where we're all equal. But when it comes to the cosmos, we have such a big role because after this, there is a whole blueprint that goes around the galaxy and the cosmos after this. And we're very close to it. We're in the final stages of this big ascension process.
Right, and just on that note, really, if we think of ourselves as being intergalactic royalty through the process that we're actually engaged in now or engaging in of becoming cosmic humans, this creates a special type of being that, even though time isn't linear, somehow hasn't existed, has existed, but we're getting to experience in this moment of how it got to exist.
Mhm.
We're witnessing ourselves being reborn. It's quite the experience. And apparently, according to the universal records, it's not been done before to be reborn from a waking state,
From the 3D
from the
body
3D.
and to
So,
be able to integrate the
yeah.
4D, 5D, and beyond as we are experiencing 3D without dying physically. This has never happened before. So more information to do with the peacock, more symbolism is also the link to immortality, to an eternal life, to realizing that we are eternal beings, to bring in more balance and harmony. It's also connected to transformation through adversity. If you think about a peacock, it's always shining with all of these colors, even in the most difficult of times. It's still a shiny, beautiful animal. It also connects us to love and attraction, to spiritual awakening, to creativity and inspiration, abundance and prosperity, and unity and oneness. Here it is. So it's a beautiful, beautiful totem to work with. And it could be that you connect to some of those qualities, not necessarily to all of them, but focus on some of them and work with them over the next 28 days.
Right, so we've got this beautiful crossweave that's happening here, which, if I may, Bella, I'd just like to try and put it into simple to understand terms. So, in the fourth moon of the owl, we worked with the self-existing tone of form, which is another way of saying we've got this opportunity to set our fourth dimensional structure, actually, to make sure that we're solid to receive the impulses. Now, that moon, as Bella said, is taking us up to the first day of the eagle. So there's a brief handover from the owl, which is very much about the psychic realms, to the eagle, which is about to lift off, so that we can radiate from our center with our fifth dimensional awareness, which is the radiant tone.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got this beautiful opportunity here with this very fifth dimensional energy of the eagle to work with the peacock moon of radiance after having just worked with our owl form moon, which is another way of saying we're working with the fourth dimension, because each of these tones correlates to a dimensional frequency or integration into our quantum field. So, three different birds: the owl to the eagle to the peacock. The owl and the peacock, both part of the Stellar Nations bird family, very, very important. And of course, all very much part of the incoming energy of the moment. The birds are very much of the higher mind of reviewing, at looking at processes that we've completed, not in judgment, but just to see maybe if they need a few adjustments. And then once that's done, the peacock says, well, look how good I've done because I'm radiant with that energy. And I think that this is where the eagle, Bella, and the peacock want to come together so that we can radiate our fifth dimensional selves down through our central sacred space, our altar space, our connection
Mm-hmm.
as above, so below.
And so another question that could be connected to this moon is, are you ready to shine and radiate from your heart, feeling fulfilled, feeling that you are who you truly are, you're not trying to put any masks or anything, and reconnecting to your core purpose? Are you aware of what is your core purpose at this point?
This is maybe a good opportunity just to remind everybody, if you've never had your galactic essence or Mayan oracle reading from Bella or indeed anyone else, this would be a good opportunity perhaps to do that if you feel called, as a way of getting to know your essence better. Pretty much all of us who've engaged in this activity and working with our core essence in the space of the 1320 have noticed profound changes in how we express ourselves to the world. It's almost like we've been released and freed into going, hey, this is who I really am. And actually, I've always been like this. And now I can just be more of who I am.
Mhm. Good. So let's move on to the next part. So that was for the 13 moons. We're entering the fifth moon out of 13. Now, with the sacred round or the Tzolkin, the cycle of 260 days, we're moving into the energy of the blue eagle, which is highlighted here. And also, let me go to the castles first. So we are in the middle of this, let's call it spiral. And in the center, we're working with the element called the ether or the castle of enchantment, meaning that is the realm of possibilities. It's like thinking of the plasma field or quantum field from where anything can be created. So there are four wave spells here. We have just completed the red moon wave spell, which helped us purify. Then we're now completing the white wind wave spell, communicating with the intention of communicating through us the message from spirit. And now we're about to enter the wave spell of the blue eagle, which is all to do with vision. Are you aligned with your vision and a collective vision as well?
Right, another beautiful piece of symmetry. This is the castle of the fifth element, and here we're in the realms of the fifth dimension, and with this fifth tone, and with this fifth moon. So, this is just another way to understand how the universe is always trying to bring us into coherency. And the more that we have a big tapestry with which to weave, the more that we get to see this. But if we understand all of these wave spells, as you've just said, through the element of ether, we've been purifying the non-physical aspects of ourselves, receiving communications from spirit, going into a final review process with the eagle, all rounding out this Tzolkin and this castle with the star, which will be more in focus in the next episode.
So that's very much the castles. There are five castles, and we're finishing the last one of this Tzolkin of 260 days. So let's have a look at the actual wave spell, which starts on kin 235, I think. Yeah. 235 to 247, and on kin 245 is the day, the Quetzalcoatl Day or Kukulkan Day or Pacalbotan Day, which is one of the days registered on the tomb of Pacalbotan. So one of those days or symbols is here, and that is the day of the spectral serpent, which is a day of total liberation and shedding of the skin. So this is our last opportunity to do this during this cycle of 260 days. We also have two gap days, galactic activation portal days, one on day 5 and another one on day 7 here.
Right, so first of all, I love the Tzolkin mark you've employed there, the sort of Quetzalcoatl. But isn't this another beautiful symmetry? The red spectral serpent kin, as marked on Pacalvatan's sarcophagus lid, now appearing here in this eagle wave spell, of course, which is really just the higher notes of the feathered serpent, the eagle DNA and the serpent DNA. So I find that very, very interesting at this time.
So as you can see, we only have this wave spell and then the last one, which is the yellow star. With the yellow star, we're going to go into a full immersion with all of the tribe to finalize and wrap up this amazing Tzolkin. And we know that so many important things have happened here. We had the convergence of timelines, which happened mid-October. We've had Atlas traveling for most of this Tzolkin with us here within the solar system, plus 16 other comets. So it's like there is a buildup of the energy, like a crescendo that we're coming to as Atlas gets really close to the Earth on December 19th. But we'll talk more about that in the future show.
Right.
So we've talked about the castles. That's another layer. We talked about the Tzolkin and the wave spell, but we're going to go deeper into the information for this specific wave spell. This is an energy with the blue eagle that is asking us to unify in order to create, attract in mind, and gives us the power of vision. We know that the energy of the eagle is about vision. And we talked about how it is the 19th wave spell of this whole 20 wave spell cycle. And it's through enchantment, meaning being in the green castle, the planetary king can attain the power of magical flight.
Beautiful.
That's exactly what we're going to do. To go 5D, because that is the fulfillment of the rainbow nation. When enough people from all around the world, from all kind of DNAs, raise the frequency, and we can hold, all of us become nodal points in the grid, in the natural grid, in the planetary grid. This is what we're doing. We're building solid anchors. Each one of us will become that anchor in the 5D space.
Wow, beautiful. And of course, the fulfillment of the Rainbow Nation is another way of saying each and every one of us receiving the full spectrum of light within our field and being able to emanate that rainbow body energy.
Mm-hmm. And so let me go briefly here through each one of the glyphs, because the way that we have designed the current workshop for people that want to jump, any of you can jump to do this wave spell with the workshop we have put together, or you can just follow any and create your own immersion or your own container, because we're going to give each one of the keys. But today I just want to give a few tips on how to follow this wave spell. So the first day you want to define the purpose. What is the vision that you're focused on? Is it something to do with something personal, some maybe work, relationship, health, your new earth project? What is your vision? So that is where you want to define what you want to see and accomplish by this wave spell. The second day is the lunar warrior, and that day is where you get to see the obstacles and the polarities of the situation that is going to unfold. On day 3 with the red electric earth is the day of service. On that day we want to connect with the earth and be in service to the earth. On day 4, we have the self-existing mirror, and it's a good day to give form to everything that we're creating and still pay attention to where we are projecting into other people. People are our mirrors.
Right.
This is a perfect day to do a review on how things are happening, and maybe those projections and reflections with other people are what create your reality. So it's a good day to review that.
Well, it's also another way of understanding if the world is in Lakesh and it's a reflection of me in this Eagle Way spell where we're being asked to review everything. It's an excellent opportunity to do exactly that. Check out the reflections coming back to you and what do they tell you about yourself.
Then on day 5, we have the storm, the overtone storm. And let's remember that the storm sometimes brings catalyzing energy that helps us move forward. So if on that day any kind of stormy situations come, make sure that you use that energy to catalyze forward your vision. Then on day 6, we have the rhythmic sun. It's a day to connect with the energy of the sun, but also to balance your masculine and feminine, and also any polarities that are still off balance. Then on the day of the dragon is the red resonant dragon on day number 7. It's a day to realign with our Kundalini energy and with the energy of the earth. So that's a very good day to do any energetic work that helps us align our chakra system or align with the earth as
That's
well.
the Red Resonant Dragon Day.
Yeah.
So interestingly, just to put the marker in here, that's also the day of the new moon.
Okay.
So that galactic activation portal is with the new moon and the Mercury cazimi as we'll be having a look at. And I think the other gap day is the day of the Black Moon Lilith cazimi.
So
Yeah,
so on that day of the red dragon, let's go little by little.
yeah.
On that day, with that new moon, we know that there's been a lot of movement around the planet. So the possibility of more earthquakes is something that would be part of that, because it's the dragon and ley lines of the planet, the telluric lines of the planet. So that is a day that has that potentiality, and it's a day where we can use our energy to rebalance that.
Yeah,
That's a way of doing it.
makes sense. Yeah.
Day 8 is the galactic wind. It's a good day to communicate, to integrate what happened in the previous wave spell, and to keep on communicating through spirit. Integrate that part that you have learned, the lessons from the previous wave spell. Then on day 9, we have the solar night, meaning that on that day we put the intentions. It's like putting the intentions into the void, into the womb space, to see what is going to manifest the day after with the planetary seed, which is a tone of manifestation. The planetary tone is number 10. And on that day, it's like the cosmic seed is born. After you've done all of your vision quests, we come to that point of realization that we're here to get activated as cosmic or star seeds. Then we go into the day, which is the Quetzalcoatl or Pacalvotan day, which is the Serpent Day, a day of liberation, a spectral serpent. On that day, we're given the opportunity through the vision that we have collected of shedding anything that is not working anymore for us. You can reinvent yourself. If part of your vision is to be the best version of yourself or a new you, you can use that energy of that day, that prophecy day, to be reborn, to do the process of being reborn.
To me, that day feels very much like a rebirth day of the Kundalini energy of our life force, and also the serpent DNA is perhaps our most recent DNA that we've been evolving from. So it feels very much like we're being invited back. And the way you've explained this, Bella, and there's a couple more to go, but this is how we understand each wave spell story, because each day has a different emphasis, but through a particular meaning, and it can be shaped in any different way. And already, this is quite a rich story that you've spelled out to people here.
And then you move into day 12, which is the crystal tone, a day of collaboration, but also the day of the world bridger, meaning that as a collective, we all bridge to 5D or to new earth. So very important for all of us to be in that, having that vision, because it's about having a collective vision as well. You can put your individual vision at the beginning of the wave spell, but also what is your collective vision for all of us? The more of us that have a coherent vision that is not from the ego mind, the more potentiality we put in the grid for it to be a manifested reality. And then on the final day, we have the blue cosmic hand, a day for healing and transcendence. So we wrap up the vision with a lot of healing and love that we send to the grid, we send to the vision, and then we let it go. We transcend to the final wave spell of the Tzolkin.
Potentially, that feels like a really powerful day for the manifestation of higher healing technology that maybe comes from the quantum space. So this is kind of how we look into the future sometimes. It's how we journey backwards and forwards. We try to feel into the energies of what the incoming wave spell is offering us, much as Bella's just done here. And we've already talked about this quite a bit. And as part of this very, very special QPW journey, we're going to be employing all of the various different layers that Bella's just been spelling out with the Eagle wave spell, with the coordinates it offers all of us to take off and access the 5D perch, and thus start accessing and remembering our higher divine minds, each and every one of us, so that we can, when the eagle starts to swoop down again from its perch with all of this information that we've just received over these 13 days, to plant them like a seed, like the wave spell said, into the earth, so that our new earth visions can come to manifestation at this end of the Tzolkin, which we weren't called to offer any journeys at this point, but after our gathering, it became very, very clear that there was a need, a requirement to make the end of this Tzolkin really coherent for all of you here watching this video, for us personally, but also for our tribe, because we've been involved in a very deep process, more of which we'll share throughout this Eagle Ascends over the 13 days of the Blue Eagle. And then following on from that, we have the Stargate opens, where time becomes art. And after the journey of the eagle, after going through all of the processes that Bella's just shared and many more, which we'll lay out in a special energetic video transmission, quite a deep one, probably about 3 hours, where we're going to go through each of the layers. And we recommend watching this on the first day of the wave spell, because then you can magnetize towards you, after understanding the coordinates, all of the different things that you need for the wave spell in front of you. So every 13 days is an invitation to step into a new story, a new journey, all of which is coherent from your divine intuitions. And the more that you've do this, or done it like me and Bella have, the more you start to realize that there are loops between the wave spells. Last time we were with the eagle, we were also with the mystical column, the teachings of the three trees that many of you may have joined us for. And those teachings are very much, for those of you that were a part of that, are part of this journey, also part of our inner quantum technology that we downloaded. But with the Eagle Ascends, it's a very simple format. We're going to not open a space like we normally do, but empower each and every one of you to become the nodal points in the morphogenetic grid, the new Gaia grid. We need to have solid, sovereign beings anchoring these nodal points. And we're going to be sharing with you how to become one of those, how to call in the allies that you need, how to orientate yourself in your landscape, both the external and perhaps more importantly, the internal. As within, so without. This is what we're looking for on this journey, is to go within for 13 days, to commit to a 13-day inquiry to see where you're really at. It's a way of saying I love myself. I love myself enough to take a quick rain check on where I'm going, what I'm up to, and now that I'm flying high, how it all looks, and maybe if I need to make some adjustments or whether it looks good to go.
So part of this process of empowering everybody is to have to put together as a workshop all of the step by step on how do you create a container so you can immerse yourself and follow your processes wave spell by wave spell. And this is super useful because even connecting to the members of the tribe, they were kind of surprised that we live like that day by day. Because it's once you get into the flow, do you get to see the magic and experience how you can use the energy of every day to create magic and to be part of magic as well.
Right, and the more that you're present, again, another QPH dandelion teaching, the more you're present, the more you see that your immediate environment is always trying to play out and offer you a manifestation visual of what you're trying to bring down from the 5D. And quite often it does not look quite the way that you envisaged it, but it's a way of spirit saying, hey, I got the request, it's in motion, here's the representation, have a look at it at the energetic level. Because sometimes you get the visual in a 3D that is not at all what you were thinking, but you can see clearly that all of the energetic coordinate points are there. And when you do this on a daily basis, we call it conscious dreaming every day, working with all of the information that we've just given you, in the relevant moment, then life becomes an unfolding story, an adventure. And there's so many adventures on offer. Each one of these glyphs and tones is a different storyline to embark on, but with your own personal flavor and internal coordinates in place.
So with this wave spell, it's called the Eagle Ascends because this is the point that we see as a marker to start the process of ascension, where each one of us, the grid is already active, is already online. The artificial one keeps on collapsing, but the other one, the natural one, is already on. And it's for each one of us to have the intention to take responsibility for our thoughts, for our actions, for our time. Time is art. Time is not money. So it's where you reclaim your time, your mind, and your energy, your sovereignty, and your freedom is part of the energy of the eagle. So it's calling us back to remember that we are amazing beings that can live in freedom, in sovereignty, becoming conscious dreamers, and creating that new earth that we've been dreaming about for a long time.
Right, so the timing of this is beautiful, and just a couple more things to add in. We will be having slightly more detailed daily glyph readings to help map out this journey within the sort of course container for the Blue Eagle Ascends, but also for those of you in our YouTube Starseed membership program, I will of course be doing the slightly shorter 3-minute shorts just as an anchor point to help orientate you. But a lot of this journey is really not being so much reliant on external stimulus, i.e. like the technology. So whilst we're giving instructions, we're also very aware that we don't want to give too many instructions to overcomplicate this. It's more of a feeling sensation. The eagle is asking us to fly above the samsaric grid, the matrix grid, the lower egos, eagle mind, lower ego mind. Sorry.
For more information, I put the link here, quantumplanet.world/Blue Eagle, and there's where you can go and read all of the description of the workshop and the plan to wrap up this Tzolkin with the workshop and then the full immersion for the Stargate.
Right. So we are also offering a combo package for both of those should you wish to do both. And perhaps with it being such a good offer, I would definitely recommend the two flow from one into the other.
Right, so let's continue with the wave spell of the Blue Eagle, which has amazing qualities like vision. We mentioned it quite a lot. Freedom. The higher collective mind is a perfect opportunity to use our telepathy, our skills to be able to go to the 5D, to the eagle's perch, to connect to the planetary consciousness, and to bring hope compassion and service for all of humanity, to be able to see the bigger picture. And the higher archetype of the blue eagle is the seer, and it's about seeing the bigger picture. Can you see the bigger picture by understanding it's not a coincidence that Three-Eye Atlas and all of these comets are here at this point? It will be thousands, if not millions of years before we have another setup like this, where we have so much in the cosmos. And what is the bigger picture if our galactic friends are here
Yeah.
and we're going through the ascension process? We are getting ready for this quantum shift, and it's been happening little by little. They're just waiting for us to do the final part. And I think this wave spell is going to do a lot of that, or help us do a lot of that.
Isn't it funny how the free eye, the third eye, the Atlas is also somewhat commensurate with being a seer? And if you haven't watched the Timeline to Convergence interview with the Ascended Master Zach, where he confirms that we are all part of what is going on in these comets, I definitely recommend watching that, because it gives a very different, a much more, I feel, complete and holistic picture.
Something to practice over the whole wave spell is to be able to detach from the 3D. If you're in the middle of a conflict or something that needs your energy and you're confused or anxious or upset, try to detach and go to the 5D perspective and see everything from above. From that point of detachment, you can see better solutions. When you see the bigger picture, everything starts falling into place and you use your energy better, and your emotional field realigns as well. In the shadow of this wave spell of the blue eagle, we could be getting caught in the details. Like, don't give too much energy to that. Try to detach and only put the details once you're clear about which are the main steps. With the shadow, it could be also about having a narrow vision, a narrow perception, seeing things only one way or the same way you've always done things. Dare to think like and have a 360 kind of view where you can see every single option, new alternatives to what you've always done, maybe a different way of doing things. There could also be a little bit of getting overwhelmed, a little confused, or having very subjective views. Also trying to play the savior role. And this wave spell is a lot to do with taking responsibility for your own energy and allowing the others to follow their own path. Sometimes we're trying to help, but actually you disempower people when they're about to go through a certain process or when they want time by themselves. Let them reflect and respect people's boundaries. If people don't want to talk to you, it must be for a reason. Give them the space and time to do their own inner work. So this could be part of the shadow, that you try to be a savior and try to go and say, save everybody. Also, it could be that you can say no to somebody. It could be being on the other end, where people are calling you and trying to get you to do things. Learn to say no. So the boundaries are for both,
Yeah.
everybody respecting their own spaces, especially as we're going into 5D vision quest.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. We need to have good boundaries. A little bit of shadow also to do with probably loss of hope or a sense of futility. Again, the best solution is to go 5D and know that there is a big plan, and we are in the kind of the end of the movie when everything is exciting and we'll get to see the fireworks and all of these amazing things we've never seen before in this lifetime or in many lifetimes for thousands of years.
Right.
We're coming out of the age of control and destruction to go into the age of creation and becoming galactic citizens. So it's the most exciting part of it, and we're just getting started. So that's something to be excited about.
Right. So, in the context of that shadow, as Bella's just sort of said, unsolicited advice, like giving advice when it wasn't asked for. If someone wants your advice, they'll probably ask for it. As a society, I feel we've kind of all a little bit guilty of giving unsolicited advice. So, it's something to be mindful of. This is part of the discipline meditation aspect of
Yeah.
the eagle. Unsolicited assistance. Don't jump into people's healing processes and help them because you perceive that they need your help. Let them ask you for help. One of my teachers from the Amazon, a Kichwa teacher, said, I will always help everybody, Davyd, if they ask me for help. If they don't ask me for help, then I don't offer it because they probably don't need it.
It could be psychic trespassing
It could
even.
be psychic trespass, especially if you're sending healing energy to somebody and haven't
They haven't
consulted with
asked for
them,
it. Yeah.
right? All of that. And so I love what you say, Bella, about this being a 5D vision quest. Of course, the Eagle's very much connected to indigenous groups of people, particularly the First Nations people of North America. And they went on many vision quests and still do to receive the divine messages. And the eagle is a perfect totem animal to take flight with.
Right. I wanted to mention just a couple more things. There is another thing that could come up, like feeling a victim of what happens. That is one that many of us could still fall into. Again, the solution is first go 5D, look at things from above as if it was a movie playing down there when you're looking from above, like the eagle. And then you'll understand what the dynamic is and you know where things need to be let go of, changed, maybe reborn, transform, whatever needs to happen there. So the final part here would be what action can we take? Rise above limitations, help raise the collective consciousness, see the higher perspective, believe in yourself, believe in your dreams and visions. This is the wave spell where we're really encouraged to bring our dreams and our visions into play and put them in the collective grid and the planetary mind. Some questions that you could ask yourself over this wave spell is, do you allow yourself to spread your wings and fly, or do you edit yourself all the time, or do you when you have a dream, do you immediately bring the reasons of why you can't do that? Because many people dream about going somewhere on a holiday or moving to another place, but then immediately the ego mind tells you why you can do that in so many different ways. So this is about allowing yourself to spread your wings, fly, and dream bigger. Can you also unhook from the drama or detach from the stories so that you can see things in a different way? We get caught in the loop and patterns of how our family dynamics are, our relationships are, or even the place where we live, how things are done there. Can you detach from all of these limiting beliefs and constraints? Also, does your vision symbolically get blurry by what you observe? Like you're not sure, it's too foggy. Do you need more time to self-reflect? Do you need to journal? Do you need to do some kind of vision, a map, or something to start clarifying your ideas? Do you also overcomplicate things when they can be handled in very simple ways? Are your actions in alignment with your vision? That is probably one of the biggest questions for this wave spell. Are your actions, daily actions, aligned with your vision? Are you taking little steps to get to where you are wanting to get to?
Right, so there is a lot to bring into play here, and maybe just as we move on with some possible narratives coming at us in the collective that might suddenly make us go, hold on a second, that just doesn't make sense with the previous information I have. That's called cognitive dissonance. At some point, the faulty mind will expose itself, where suddenly the bits that it's kind of made up and joined the dots, which weren't actually facts or your truth, suddenly get exposed, whether it's in the collective story or the personal story. That's likely to come up. That's exactly the moment you need to go to the Eagle's Perch and say, hold on, this doesn't really compute. Something is a little bit out. And before I go firing off at anybody, let me just do an internal investigation to see how involved in this process I am. Right. So that's really investigating the mind. Any good Buddhist student will have lots of exercises, and we're going to be sharing some meditations and plants to help with that. But that's my way of saying observe the polarizations, because that's you've got into a dualistic scenario and got pulled left or right when the trick is really just to be in the center, observing it all.
And this is probably the easiest way to follow a wave spell is journaling, asking those questions day by day. First day, identify the purpose. How do you call forth the resonance of your true vibration? What is the vision that you have? What is your core purpose as well as part of this moon? So you
Yeah.
can add it there. And then let the things, allow the downloads to come without forcing things. Give yourself the time and space to do your meditation, reflection. It could be an active meditation, walking, gardening,
Good one.
doing some kind of art is So to me, it works really well. Once I get into painting or doing something, then the downloads come really easily. So use whatever technique you have and just follow the questions day by day.
Those are really good, actually. You know, if we're trying to bypass the Logos mind, sometimes doing strenuous activity, a long bike ride or going running, it allows you to bypass the lower mind and allows the intuitions to come through. And if that's something you feel you struggle with, always being in your mind, this is where a plant like dandelion and being present, even if you're aware of the mind, you can still receive the synchronistic events by being in the present moment and seeing them in the visual space around you. But if your mind is always thinking about what you have to do later this evening, next week, next year, then that also will stop you from being in the present moment. So that's another way of assessing how much is your mind taking you out to the present moment and away from the magic.
Right. And so here we complete the layer to do with the sacred round, with the wave spell. So the Mayan cosmology ends here, and we go into the astrology. And as you know, we've been following sidereal or constellational astrology using 13 signs. And as part of this exercise, we want to review the rulership for the planets connected to the sign, bringing the higher nodes of the archetypes that we're working with. So since November the 4th, we entered the sign of Libra in 13 sign constellational or sidereal astrology. And this sign, the sun is there at the moment. So when you look at the sky, the sun will be in that constellation, true sky. And so this energy is telling us it's the moment for divine justice, cosmic justice, the fact that we have all of these comets in the sky, the fact that the governments have been shut down, the airports have been shut down, but the banking system is all, it pretty much collapsing together with many other institutions, tells us that this is the moment of justice. The moment of judgment, maybe the connection to Mad, which is the goddess that was balancing the truth and the feather, the heart on the other side. The moment of balancing the masculine and feminine and being able to find balance and harmony inside of ourselves. It also feels like the moment of ending of chaos, of karmic loops. And so that we can step into a new way of living where there is more harmony, more security, more honesty. We'll be able to read people energetically, read them telepathically better. So this is a beautiful moment, I feel. And some of the things that we had in the conversation, the last show, is who should be the ruler if one or two or three rulerships. So we thought of I thought of Pallas Athena because of her strategy and sacred justice and intelligence. But we also have the traditional Venus, but Mercury fits this energy really well as well. So maybe all of you can add your ideas on what do you think should be the true rulership for Libra.
I like these ones, I really do. And just feeling into the whole weighing of the scales of Mars, really the whole emphasis is how heavy is your heart. And if your heart is filled with heavy emotions, maybe you feel heavy in your heart about things that have happened to other people, maybe resentment, or you watch something and it sees people starving in some part of the world and you think, oh my gosh, it's so terrible, those poor suffering people, all of which can be true. But if it allows your heart to be pulled down by it, I suggest the question here might be, well, I don't know what the causes and conditions for that particular person's situation was. Maybe it's part of their own divine directives, and it's not necessarily for me to concern myself with whatever is going on for them. And we can use this in every single situation because at this moment we're learning how it is that we came to be here with the blueprints that we came in with, which each and every one of us has. And the most important thing we can do is be concerned about what's going on for us and not to worry too much about what is going on for other people. Hence, the sharing that Bella just gave on that. But if we're still being weighed down by these heavy emotions and thoughts, and this is where the eagle says, hey, but from this loftier perspective, it doesn't look like this. There are other reasons why these things are going on and need to go on.
And it's not about completely detaching of the realities out there or people suffering. It's just about taking that higher perspective so that better solutions come to you on where is the best use of your energy, your thoughts, and however you want to contribute to specific causes. So rather than getting sad or depressed or any of those lower vibrations, go to the higher perspective and see, why is this affecting me and where can my energy actually help this in a better and more effective way? So, anything else we want to add about the energy of Libra at this point? Many of the planets are in Libra. We'll go into the charts in a minute.
Really, that I just think the most important thing here throughout, well, life in general, but particularly with this period, is to check in on how balanced are we, both in our masculine and feminine energy, but also in the polarizations. Are we getting pulled into this narrative and saying this person is right or wrong, and vice versa? It doesn't really matter what the situation is. If you're in that position with anything, well, that's when you need to do the internal eagle investigations and take off and sit on the perch for a bit. So these are just hints and tips, really, to help you navigate to this space. Sometimes it sounds a little strange. It sounds like, well, that sounds a bit cold, but it's not. You have to allow the bigger picture awareness, which the eagle gives you, to come in to that space. Now,
So now we're going
meet a whole
to
new character, right?
the spicy season when on November 23rd through December the 5th. And we know that the energy of Scorpio. So this is the thing. I'll show you in Stellarium in a minute. So the section of the sky that has Scorpio has Ophiuchus and the Serpent's constellation right above. That's why in 13 sign astrology, Scorpio only has 13 degrees, and then Ophiuchus has another 13, and I'll show you in the chart. But let's talk about the energy that comes towards the end of this wave spell on November 23rd. And is that energy of passion and transformation, the energy of being fearless and also very perceptive. Scorpio brings a lot of strength even in uncertainty, and that's going to be very useful because many systems are changing, many ways of doing things, and a lot of new information. So we need to be able to be strong, even though there is a lot of uncertainty. We need to be able to anchor ourselves. There are some lower nodes of Scorpio, as we well know, being possessive, resentful, vindictive, obsessive, controlling. There are many of those traits, but this is the moment to review them, because as we move into the next part of this journey, we're going to ask ourselves, is this part of what we still want? Remember, we were talking in the wave spell, there is a day of the spectral serpent, a day of liberation. These could all be part of the things that many of us are ready to let go of, the lower nodes of that scorpionic energy that still affect our relationships or our daily life, our energy. We're all the time in this intensity and worry or jealousy or possessiveness, anything like that is going to drain our energy, and our mind is going to be cooked all the time. So we need to find other ways of doing things. The energy of Scorpio is also very good for observation, research. That curiosity is so useful. Many astronomers, surgeons, and healers, investigators, they all have this Scorpio energy. So it can be used for something very good. But it also brings a lot of mistake and high intensity in every single area, because it's part of that. We know it well from
we
having
used to
been
be Scorpios once upon a time.
Scorpio suns, but I still have the North Node and Neptune in Scorpio.
Venus and Neptune on Antares. So we're still in our heart Scorpios. So we know this energy quite well.
So with Scorpio, what is it going to invite us to do over this period of time is to let go of the old so we can create the new. That process of death and rebirth is here again, a process of regeneration. I feel that the amount of codes that we are receiving at this moment, they're coming from all of these different comets, all of this intensity of the solar flares, having an X flare, as there were other CMEs coming our way, tells me that we're receiving so many codes, so much plasma, so much of our memory is awakening again, and our DNA is getting deeply activated through all of this process. So the final part I wanted to comment about Scorpio is again about the rulership. We know that Mars has been the usual or traditional ruler. Then we've had Pluto, which is very appropriate with everything to do with the underworld and transformation. But I really like Black Moon Lilith, because the mythology behind Black Moon Lilith is about the serpent, the tree of knowledge, and all of the energy that Scorpio is about. So I like to suggest the Black Moon Lilith to be part of that.
I would absolutely agree that my scorpionic existence for the first half of my life had very strong Black Moon Lilith undertones to it, also very Plutonian and Martian as well. But I definitely resonate strongly with the female serpent healer side of Black Moon Lilith.
The intuition,
The
the transformation, the
intuition, the
healing.
psychic abilities, the healing, these are sometimes not always linked to Lilith. But
Hmm.
what I find fascinating, Bella, is that Scorpio in this 13 sign sidereal system is 13 days. So, like
Yeah,
another 13-day wave spell.
yeah.
And then the Fucus is also 13 days. So, we have this kind of almost two tailor-made wave spells in and of themselves. And this one here is kicking in really just, it's literally pretty much kicking in on the day of the red spectral serpent, which is interesting. So, that's almost like the magnetization of the Scorpio 13-day energy is coming in through this Pakal Vatan day.
Right.
So I don't want to overcomplicate things at this point, but this Eagle wave spell is pretty much going to run almost within a couple of days commensurate with this Scorpio,
And who was Lilith in the story? The
the
serpent.
serpent.
The one that brought knowledge and got the tree, the apple story and the knowledge, biting from the apple.
And weirdly enough, which of all of the signs of the zodiac is most linked to the birds and particularly the eagle? It's the Scorpio. It has three other totem animals, the phoenix, the eagle, and the dove, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth dimensional levels of transformation the Scorpio goes through. So here we are in Scorpio season with the eagle waiting for liftoff.
Yeah.
This is how we build a picture of what we're up to.
So let's add not another layer, but let's have a visual of all of these comet energy. So if you have a look, this is the 19th of November, and look how close this T1 Atlas, which is a different, it's not the interstellar, it's just another comet, is really close to Mercury. Look at Swan, how close it is to Earth.
Right.
Lemon, it's probably already had perihelion, but it looks really close to the sun to me, and almost about to be really close to Mars and Venus again. And then we have 3i Atlas here. The Earth is going to continue to move in this direction anti-clockwise, and then Atlas is coming in this direction. So they're going to meet, not that close, but we will definitely see it. I have seen amazing pictures already of people taking pictures of Atlas coming out of the glare of the sun already.
Even here, we are pretty sure that we saw one of the comets, and of course, one just disappeared. It got scorchioed a few days ago. Borisov just literally seemed to disappear. We don't know what happened to that one. So if you have any answers to that, please do put them in the comments if you know where it went.
So I just wanted to show here the stellarium so that you can see this here is the ecliptic where I'm moving my cursor. Hopefully you get to see it. And here is Virgo, 3i Atlas is down here. You can see it there. Here is where the sun is. You can see it's in the constellation of Libra on the 24th of November. Let me go to the one earlier
The
that.
Peacock star is there too.
Yeah, I wanted to show those two. So this one is better because it's on the 19th of November. At that point, Atlas is going to be here, finishing the journey through Virgo. The sun is right here about to jump onto the next sign, which is Scorpio. And then it doesn't come down here through the tail. The ecliptic doesn't go that way. It goes in this direction. So as soon as it comes here to the area of Antares, we're pretty much in the galactic center and then go towards Sagittarius. So this is the journey across here. But because the sun is about to come to the galactic center, I think is the time of the year when there is the most amount of energy available for big transformation processes. And so by the time that it's the 19th of December, we're going to be in the galactic center as Atlas is getting closest to the Earth. We can see Atlas here on the chart at the very early degrees of Leo. Well, it's close, early degrees of Virgo, about to move into Leo. So we can see it there.
Right, so just as a visual, this is quite a good one. Here we have the Eagle constellation, otherwise known as Aquila, with the Serpents constellation. And anyone who's ever looked at the flag of Mexico will know that that's pretty much a representation of the flag with the eagle swooping down to grab the snake, all of which was part of the Aztlans or the Aztecas prophecy and how they built Tenochtitlan, which also appears in Far Eastern, particularly Indian and sort of Indonesian, Malaysian, Thai cultures of the Garuda bird, whose eternal foe is the Nagas, and he's always seen holding these two serpents, and the Garuda is also a personification of perhaps the king of the birds, the eagles in some ways, but also other birds. So this perhaps to me, Bella, suggested the eagle is here to take both snakes by the scruff of the neck and say, have you sorted out your differences yet? Are you in balance? Are you in harmony? Is masculine and feminine still at war with each other? Or have they come to a place of recognition of the healer, female serpent, the teacher, male serpent, but seeing in location each other, both having the opposite gifts, equal and opposite?
Correct. So that's why I included this stellarium image, because what I'm seeing is that as we come to the point of judgment here with the sun and the moon, because we'll have a new moon here by midnight on the 19th, or almost on into the 20th of November. So we have the moon, the sun, Venus, Mars is also here. It feels like there is a concentration of energies that are here, bringing all of that into Scorpio and the Galactic Center. So as the sun is here, it's activating a lot of this energy of the Serpent's constellation, and then it gives us the opportunity to take flight to the eagle. That's what we're doing with the Blue Eagle wavespell. We're going to have the option to go up the galactic center to reach those higher nodes. So one of the stars that got activated and is part of Libra is this one here. It's a fixed star called Gamma Librae. And that star is connected to the cosmic humans, which is part of the mythology of stellar nations and the galactic history. And it's a star, or it's a world where the future it's decided, and you can create new life, new possibilities, and look for balance. So it's beautiful that this new moon is activating that star and allowing us to dream into the future as cosmic humans.
Right, and even just thinking more on the eagle snake analogy, maybe the eagle wanted to take the snakes up to a loftier perspective and hold them and say, "Hey, look at what you've created down here on planet Earth. You know, the double helix, the DNA, it links to many things." And myself and Leslie did a deep dive on the Aquila constellation and the energy of the eagles for the Eagle's Ascent. So if you join up, you have that also to jump into for this wave spell.
And then on the 24th, we'll have Atlas down here, and it will be closer to the early degrees of Virgo. But it also activates those stars here, part of the Serpent's constellation. You could call it a fucus at this point, which are yet prior, the Shuba and Graphias. And all of this energy is talking to us about transcending the lower nodes of manipulation of the Serpent energy,
Right, yeah.
manipulation through sexuality, through dark magic, through anything that is the lower nodes of the Serpent and Scorpio, and bring it to the higher level of what we talked about with the cosmic humans. What is the future as cosmic humans once we reach that point of balance of masculine and feminine and transcend any duality?
In fact, if you think about the things you listed there, the sort of scorpionic undertones, we can pretty much say that they can all be ascribed to a misfiring, malfunctioning mind space that brings in suspicion, betrayals, takes you out of your heart, takes you into the more narrow perspective of the mind. And that's really the journey of the Scorpio being, is to get out of that mind space that is very restrictive, contortive, matrix driven, and ascend by transforming, alchemizing, or just torching completely through the energy of the fire with the phoenix to ascend to the eagle's perch, which is kind of like a resting space in the galactic realm, where we can then assess how much am I in my heart, how much am I being polarized. Then you can come back into your heart, which really opens the Christo consciousness, the Yeshua and Sophia principles of unconditional love. So we've already covered a lot, and a lot of this has already come up in different ways, but we'll have a quick look at the astrology of the Blue Eagle wavespell, because there are some significant things going on. We've touched on many of them already. To pick out the highlights, so we have a black moon Lilith cazimi in Libra on November the 18th, which I think is the first of those two gap days. We can see here, this is the chart for the new moon, which is a couple of days later. You can see here that the sun has already passed over black moon Lilith a couple of days prior. So we have that to contemplate. So interesting, the sun is going to come and have that conversation with Lilith, the personification perhaps
The serpent.
of the female serpent, which is really kind of more these days how I understand Scorpio in many ways. It embodies the serpent energy
Yeah.
very profoundly.
Yeah.
Um, We then have a new moon in Libra, which is what this chart is. We can see it here, the sun and moon conjunct. But also, look here, Mercury's getting in on the act. He's like, hey, don't leave me out. I need to know what the news is because he's also in retrograde right now.
Yeah.
So he's, which we'll see in a minute, he's off on his journeys again. And of course, Mercury is very much the messenger. He's synonymous with Hermes, which is a very Pegasus kind of messenger energy, but it's also very much in the realm of the birds. He has a good connection with the wings, the feathers, and the birds, and likes to go and receive news and go and deliver messages, and really is the kind of solar system's messenger. And so I find it interesting that this is happening with the new moon intentional possibilities in this eagle wave spell.
I think it's amazing that Grand Trine, which involves
Oh,
the
yeah.
three you just mentioned at 15 degrees, the moon, the sun, and Mercury,
Right.
then trine to Jupiter, which is in Gemini, and Neptune and Saturn, which are here in Pisces. And even the North Node is a little far, but those two, maybe even Ceres. So what it tells me is that this grand trine is all of the possibilities that we're now creating on a new moon. It's like, let's put everything in that womb space that it so that it can expand. And part of that is by having Jupiter retrograde is a reconsideration of our higher mind. What are we doing with it? Where are our thoughts going? Then with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces is a new way of doing time and a new way of doing spirituality, which is more benefic for us.
Right. So perhaps this is some of the first initial communications that Mercury is receiving because that cazimi happens just about 2.5 hours after the new moon is exact. But we can see here from this chart that really that is all in process, that there is a big conjunction with both Mercury and Black Moon Lilith getting combusted. But that orb to Lilith is just really less than 2 degrees. So it's kind of still very much in the picture, perhaps adding that final look-see at the machinations of the mind of the fallen serpent energies, the fallen Scorpio energies, and asking, are you ready to let them go, lift off to the eagle's perch and reflect on all of these things? And Mercury, I feel, is here to reflect those messages back on some level.
Yeah, and Mercury is doing a retrograde process,
Yeah.
but it will be in Scorpio as well, where it's going to show a lot of the information of disclosure that many of us have already seen all of that, but many people haven't. So I do feel it will reveal a lot of dark information that the majority don't know about. The other thing I was seeing here is that opposition with Uranus, which is kind of the challenge on that day. There are many good energies that support the creation of something new and getting into point of balance. But at the same time, we have a huge amount of energy coming from the sun, the amount of solar flares.
Mhm.
The electromagnetics of the planet affect our bodies. So I feel that our nervous system is going to get a little bit charged. That's why we chose the plant horsetail to help us with that. So I think that the work is to keep our mind and nervous system in a point of calm so we can process this huge amount of energy hitting us right now.
And if we read it in the true sidereal context, this Uranus is in Taurus, so it would suggest that there's going to be some sense of some new innovations, maybe coming to a point of tension to do with the Earth, or maybe some tension in the Earth being released.
Earthquakes,
Could
maybe.
be earthquakes. We're not in the process of calling these things in, but there is some sort of Earth recalibration that is not necessarily really dependent in any way on us humans. It's a process that Mother Earth has to go through. And if we've made choices that put us in the pathway of that we would consider harmful to ourselves, then maybe there's a choice here to make sure that we're not in that pathway. These are all the choices that the eagle offers us with no sense of right or wrong. It's just, hey, be in the pathway of an earthquake or don't be. But if you have a sense that it could be incoming, then perhaps listen to the intuitions. That's what we would say. Also, Uranus is in action here with Neptune on this new moon in a nice little sextile, offering some harmonious energy, which perhaps with Neptune being in Pisces and potential earthquakes and the sun all in the mix, we want to make sure that those internal waters are calm because we're so connected to the Earth Gaia grid that we forget that whatever fluctuations I have on the inner emotional watery realms is going to go straight to the grid. And if we're all feeling wibbly wobbly, then the whole world is going to be going wibbly wobbly. But as a sense of spiritual maturity and responsibility, what we can do is say, I'm going to take responsibility for my inner waters and I'm going to make them calm, even with news, maybe shocking information coming in. From my Eagle's Perch perspective, I'm like, oh, well, I signed up to all of this. It's all good. It's part of the experience. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. And I think that that's really the motif, Bella, for a lot of this next 2 weeks. But as you've already mentioned, Mercury is still in on the act with Venus. We'll come to that in a minute, but that's on that powerful red spectral serpent day on November the 24th, just a couple of days out from the end of the wave spell. So those are sort of general overall coordinates. There's a few I wanted to drill down into just quickly. I'm not going to go through these in a huge amount of detail, but here is Mercury's round that he's on. And you'll probably be aware that about every 3 or 4 quantum compasses, this comes up. Mercury seems to hit these coordinates and go to speak to everybody at critical moments. So he kicks off with a sextile to Pluto, so getting some more information on how this review from the Eagle's Perch of the top-down hierarchy is actually going, not the one that we thought we'd gone through, but are now actually going through. And is it time for a bit of a Uranus from Taurus, from the ground up kind of a moment to dissolve the previous structures to allow better ones to come through? Maybe this is part of what Pluto wants to communicate through Mercury. Then a couple of days later, Mercury is still in Libra, of course, and trining Neptune in Pisces, but is also opposed to Uranus, pretty much coming into that new moon, as we've already talked about. Then, of course, is in that combustion moment on the new moon. So he's also having a good old chat with Solano there and picking up his new directives. He then comes out of that and gets into some beautiful harmonious trines with both Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Gemini. That's quite an interesting triangulation that's going on there. He conjuncts Venus in Libra on that spectral serpent day, and it's just outside of the context of this wave spell, but then goes direct on November the 29th.
So maybe just to remember with these interactions that Mercury is having, that is a moment for truth. We'll probably hear many truths to do with all of the systems that were in place and now are being replaced, a moment for clarification, a moment of more truth and revelations for what all of the powerful people have been doing for a long time, for hundreds of years even. A moment of cognitive dissonance, maybe for lots of people. That's what we need to be in a place that is centered to be able to discern and take a higher perspective. What part of it's true, what part of it resonates, and what doesn't. So it feels like a bit of a test for us to do with our mind. Where are your thoughts? Where is your mind? Be careful with what you say during all of these retrograde process. Think before you say anything. Only if he has a high purpose. Otherwise, it may be not necessary to say too much.
Agreed. And with Mercury being in retro until November the 29th and working in conjunction with the Eagle, this is very much about the reflections that the Eagle is going to give us into our mind space, the difference between our original, more Eagle mind and our lower, more ego mind. Finally got my tongue around those two, and perhaps showing us the difference. And so the trick here is to not shoot the messenger, in this case Mercury, who's picking up these messages. Some could be on the up and it could be telling us, hey, you did a really good job, you did the inner work and well done, and here's your spiritual rewards. Or maybe saying, hey, you're almost there, buddy, just release a few more bags of ballast and you'll be able to lift off, perhaps with those incoming light codes from the sun that are literally on the way to us right now. So I came across this by accident. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it, but interestingly enough, on the last day of this Eagle wave spell, the asteroid Atlantis that we check in on periodically, and quite a few of you out there follow, is going to be conjunct the Galactic Centre in the last degrees of Ophiuchus in the 13 sign sidereal. So I just put the two charts here just for ease of reference, the Western to show you where it would normally be there, just coming on to 27 degrees of Sagittarius, where it's positioned in the Western tropical. And literally, I've estimated that to be the last 2 degrees of Ophiuchus, which makes sense because the end of Ophiuchus is the galactic center. And if you think about it, perhaps
Ophiuchus is the galactic center.
Yeah, but those last 2 degrees are synonymous with what people generally understand to be that 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So I find it very interesting that at the end of this process, what's coming up for a final review in all of this with the Eagles is Atlantis conjunct the galactic center. And if we perceive a lot of the time issues that we've been investigating from the timeline tsunami that came out of Atlantis, it tends to suggest this might be the end of that big cycle and we can enter into the star as our star seed selves to plant those beautiful star seeds in the new Gaia grid.
So what I like here is that kite formation that comes here and has at the tip of it Venus and Black Moon Lilith, as if those two archetypes get reintegrated and balanced in Libra. It's like they're lifted to the next octave by being integrated now.
Wow, yeah. Beautiful. So that pretty much is it for the astrology and everything else. Now, just included a couple of plans for this way spell. They're not particularly linked to the eagle for a variety of reasons. They're more linked to the news that we received in the last 2 days of the incoming solar flares and how to deal with a lot of light coming into your field. We've talked about both of these plants before, but sometimes it's useful for a quick review. The two plants that we are recommending and have already started taking since this morning are horsetail and St. John's wort. Now, bit of a shout out here to my brother Pete Jackson, Main herbalist, did an incredibly good deep dive into the world of St. John's wort, which you can find on the Quantum Plant part of the QPW website, where we go into a lot more. But one of the things that me and Pete discovered whilst doing that is that Hypericum perforatum, St. John's wort, is very, very good at modulating the amount of light that comes in, which in the case of the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, which is when the sun is at its peak, is very important, because if we receive too much light, we can actually start to lift out of our bodies. I've had that experience a couple of times and needed St. John's wort to help bring me back in. And anchor me in my physical container. That could be useful when the sun is pumping out these high-speed CMEs and X-class flares and everything else. And the other plant that we really suggest to work with to help navigate those solar flares is actually horsetail, which, as Bella's shared quite a few times before and is super interesting, contains a lot of silica. So this is a plant that we perceive as a bridge plant from our carbon-based life form to a silica-based life form. So if we work with this, we can sort of understand that we're already beginning the process at a cellular level of converting from a carbon-based life form to a silica, more light-filled type of being. And if we work with St. John's wort, very connected to our crown chakra, we can also bring in maybe Angelica to work with our soul star chakra. We're receiving the light codes from not just the sun, but also from the photon belt and probably Atlas and all of the other interstellar visitors that we have too. So these are very, very practical, functional plants to work with at this time to help modulate the amount of spectrum of light that's coming into our fields.
Yes, and as we are in this process right now, it feels like the Earth is going through the final reboot before the final grid is installed. And it's the grid that is going to help us thrive and to leave all of those systems of control. And it's only when enough people are connected and we're all emitting the same frequency that will be able to anchor. These two plants are amazing to help us do that. This wave spell is amazing to help us become these nodal points in the grid as well.
Right, so really to sum it down into some essence, how do we hold vast amounts of light in a 3D physical body? That's been the entire experiment, as we're sort of understanding it now, is how to become embodied, multidimensional cosmic humans, but still navigating the density of the 3D space. But now, hopefully, without the density of corruption, toxicity, poisonings, faulty program systems, maybe even a faulty ego mind system.
Yeah.
If we've cleaned and cleansed and refurbished and recalibrated all of these, well, then we should just be basically a vessel for light, which I think is really what this Eagle wave spell wants to take us to, so that we can be in the energy of our star selves.
I think we've rambled enough.
Yeah. So a lot of threads there. Thank you, everybody. We'll just wrap things up here. It's a little longer episode today. We've had a really busy week putting all of these threads together, and that was without the incoming CMEs and solar flares, which we've shared with you here because we think they're really important. They could be a trigger for uplift, even for takeoff with the Eagle. So a lot of information, lots of layering. If you are joining us for the Eagle Ascends, welcome everybody. We'll be seeing you in that container and group very, very soon. But if you're not, then please also remember you can use the daily mind glyph readings in the YouTube channel to navigate. Plus, many of you have done journeys with us before and know how to work with the 13. Whether you're with us or not, everybody is invited to hold a collective space for these 13 days with all of these coordinates, with all the energy coming towards us. primarily because we think it's important and it's certainly what we're going to be doing, and also to call in the dream of what happens on the other side of this big transition bridge that we can say that we're on, and what happens when we swoop down again and we get to see our new Earth. How does it look according to the dreams that we planted?
That's it.
All right.
Keep it empty.
In Lakesh, everybody, we'll see you on the other side. Bye for now.